If money feels like it always slips through your fingers, no matter how much you learn, work, or try, you still feel unsafe receiving. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you were taught to disconnect from your true energetic value. Your second house sign holds the truth. This part of your chart reveals the root of your relationship to abundance, how you feel about your worth, what you believe you're allowed to have, and where your energy either repels or attracts support. In this video, we're going to dive into what your second house zodiac sign reveals about your unique abundance frequency, the core scarcity wound that shaped your early self-worth, how that energy shows up in your daily life, spending habits, business, and relationships, as well as the exact steps to help you heal and shift your energy back into confidence and ease. This is not just about money. It's about rebuilding your energetic safety so you can finally receive it. So pull up your birth chart, find your second house zodiac sign, and let's dive in.
You don't wait for permission. You move, and the abundance moves with you. Your second house reveals how you build your self-worth, attract resources, and experience material security. With Aries here, you're not meant to build wealth by following the rules. You're meant to build it by trusting your instincts, courage, and drive. You thrive when you act fast on inspired ideas, when you claim space boldly and unapologetically, when you build based on what lights you up, not what looks safe, and when you turn passion into momentum and confidence into action. Your true currency is raw energy, fire, confidence, and initiative. But here's the shadow. You may have learned that you were too much, too aggressive, or too impulsive to be trusted with money. So instead of leading with your power, you started questioning whether you were ready to succeed or if it was even safe for you to have more. This placement thrives when you take initiative on ideas instead of waiting for the right time. When you launch products, brands, or offers that reflect your independence and leadership. When you blaze your own trail through personal branding, coaching, performance, or physical movement-based work. And when you let your inner fire become your outer magnetism. You were made to lead your life and income with boldness. But that kind of energy often gets punished early in life, especially in environments that favored obedience or control. With Aries here, you may have experienced environments where your assertiveness was shut down. You may have experienced caregivers or authority figures who saw your confidence as rebellion. You may have experienced messages that said real success comes from patience, humility, or playing nice, as well as early life instability that made you fear taking risk. So instead of trusting your natural momentum, you may have held back out of fear of being too much, jumped from one thing to another, never staying long enough to build. Resisted structure, fearing it would strip your freedom. Or waited for validation or certainty before making bold moves. And all of that drains your energy and your abundance. So this energy can show up in your life in several ways. So you may hesitate to launch, promote, or sell unless you feel fully ready. You may burn out quickly, charging ahead, then losing steam or motivation. You may undercharge because you confuse speed with not being worth much. You may fear looking arrogant or selfish, so you shrink in leadership or brand visibility. You may struggle to stay consistent. Your fire starts fast, but dies without fuel. Or you may feel threatened by slowness, rules, or people telling you to tone it down. You want wealth to move fast, but part of you fears it will burn you if it does. You want to trust yourself, but early experiences may have taught you to second guess your own spark. Now, to begin to heal and realign with your Aries-ruled second house, the first step is to honor momentum over perfection. You don't need a 3-month plan. You need a starting point. Your clarity comes from movement, not overthinking. Build offers, create content, and take action as soon as it sparks something in you. Next is to let your desire guide your direction. Stop asking if it's realistic and ask if it's alive. Your energy is designed to chase what excites you. That is the path to abundance. Trust your passions because they are your power. Next is to create freedom through structure. Structure isn't control, it's containment for your fire. Build a framework that protects your energy, not one that punishes it. Routine doesn't have to mean boring. It can mean boundaried fire. Next is to let boldness become your brand. You're not here to blend in. You're here to initiate something new. Charge for your leadership. Charge for your clarity. Let your courage become part of the transformation you sail. And finally, reclaim your right to act fast, speak loud, and lead boldly. You were never too much. You were simply powerful in a world that wasn't ready. But you are ready now. A great affirmation for you having your second house ruled by Aries is, my courage is my currency. I trust my instincts, claim space with confidence, and take bold action that leads to aligned success. If this resonated with you, be sure to let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if this lit something up inside of you, don't stop here. Be sure to dive into the description box for my next level offerings to help you fully own your growth. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. You're not here to chase. You are here to root, receive, and radiate. With Taurus ruling your second house, you're aligned with the natural rhythm of value, abundance, and sustainability. This is Venus house in a Venus sign. This is a placement of deep magnetism, earthly embodiment, and energetic patience. Your wealth grows when you stay grounded in your value, even when the world moves fast. When you build from embodiment, not urgency. When you prioritize consistency, beauty, and security over chaos and chase. And when you align with what feels pleasurable, real, and safe. But here's the challenge. When you equate safety with control or comfort with scarcity, you settle, shrink, or stall. Instead of owning your innate magnetism, you may cling to what's familiar, even when it no longer feeds you. This placement creates wealth through slow, sustainable mastery, through offerings that feel sensual, practical, luxurious, or stable, through a calming presence that others feel drawn to, through building businesses, brands, or routines that prioritize quality over speed, and through deep resourcefulness, knowing how to turn little into lasting. Taurus in the second house is financial feng shui. You draw in what you deserve when you trust that you're already enough. Now, with this placement, you may have received early messages that included, don't rock the boat. Just stick with what's safe. Don't waste money on pleasure. Security is everything. Risk is dangerous. You can't trust others to provide. Hold on to what you have. So from this, you may have stayed in jobs, relationships, or patterns too long. Feared charging more or raising your value, thinking it would cause instability. Associated self-care, luxury, or rest with guilt or laziness. Subconsciously linking money with hoarding or over-control, as well as settling for less because at least it was stable. But what's stable isn't always supportive. Taurus in the second house must learn you are allowed to grow beyond survival, even when it feels unfamiliar. So this energy can show up in your life in several different ways. So you may resist raising your prices, even when your work has evolved. You may avoid spending on yourself or your business, fearing it's unnecessary. You may stay stuck in a comfort zone that's outlived its purpose. You may slow your progress to avoid discomfort, judgment, or unfamiliar risk. You may crave more, but shame yourself for wanting too much. Or you may confuse consistency with self-denial. The deeper fear is that you feel if you claim more, you might lose what you already have. But expansion is not the enemy of stability. It's the evolution of it. To begin to heal and realign with your Taurus-ruled second house, the first step is to anchor into body-based safety. Your abundance expands when your nervous system feels regulated. Use movement, breath work, and sensual rituals to remind yourself you are safe to receive. Pleasure isn't extra, it's energetic permission. Next is to let yourself desire more without guilt. You're not greedy, you're grounded. Desire is not dangerous, it's divine guidance. Ask for more, receive more, hold more. Your capacity is greater than your programming. Next is to build wealth with rhythm, not rush. You don't need to force your way to success. Let your offers, routines, and schedule reflect your internal pace. Taurus thrives in slow power, not reactive urgency. Next is to trust that beauty equals value. Aesthetic, harmony, sensory pleasure. These are not frills. These are your frequency. Design your space and lifestyle to reflect the wealth that you're stepping into. And finally, stop settling for safe if it's making you small. Comfort is only abundant when it's conscious. Start choosing what feels expansive, not just familiar. You're not here to hoard. You're here to harvest. A great affirmation for you for your Taurus-ruled second house is, I am safe to receive. My value is stable, grounded, and magnetic. I expand with grace, and I trust that what I build will last. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if this landed for you and you're ready for more, I've curated some powerful offerings for you, and you can find them in the description box below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Abundance is not something you chase. It's something you radiate. And the zodiac sign on your second house shows you exactly what kind of energy you were born to embody in order to attract money, resources, and support without force or fear. When you have Gemini on your second house cusp, you weren't meant to find security through rigid rules or long-term guarantees. Your path to abundance begins when you realize your mind is your magnet. Your curiosity, adaptability, words, humor, voice, and ability to connect people and ideas. That's your gold. But if no one ever told you that, If you were raised in survival or taught that being smart only mattered if it came with straight A's or a degree, or if your voice was dismissed as annoying, immature, or too much, then chances are you've spent your entire life thinking that what comes naturally to you isn't valuable enough to build your life on. This is where we begin the healing. Gemini is the student, the messenger, the connector, the storyteller. When this energy lives in your second house, it means you create wealth through words, ideas, and mental agility. You attract opportunities when you're engaged, curious, and lit up by what you're learning. Your value is felt through your ability to explain, translate, teach, and communicate in ways that spark understanding and bring people together. And it also means that your voice has economic power. Your storytelling has energetic weight. Your intellectual flexibility is your stability. But this kind of wealth is only magnetic when you trust it. When you see yourself not as someone who knows a little about a lot, but as someone who is wired for versatile mastery. The more you chase someone else's definition of success, one that demands singular focus, seriousness, and proving your intelligence, the further you drift from the natural wealth already flowing through your being. This energy gets blocked when you internalize the message. You're scattered. You talk too much. You're not being serious enough. You can't make money just by being you. And so what do? You may over-intellectualize your gifts or try to sound smart enough. You may jump from idea to idea, afraid to commit to any one path. You may get stuck in your head, consuming content instead of creating it. You may downplay your natural skills like communication, humor, or social brilliance because you think they're not real value. This shows up especially if early in life you were talkative and curious, but told to be quiet or stop asking so many questions. If you were naturally expressive, but compared to someone more focused or academic. If you were always seeking stimulation or movement, but were shamed for not being disciplined or productive enough. If you were told that only traditional forms of intelligence were valuable, so your creativity or playfulness was dismissed. Eventually, you began to believe the lie. If I just stick to one thing, if I just get one degree, if I can sound like I have it all together, then I'll finally be worthy of abundance. But that lie disconnects you from your birthright currency. Now, this block can show up in your life in several different ways. So you may find that you talk yourself out of launching ideas before they're even fully formed. You may spend more time researching and consuming content than trusting your own ideas. You may constantly tell yourself, I'm not ready yet. You may jump between business ideas, courses, or projects, seeking the one thing that will finally click. You may undercharge or avoid selling altogether because a part of you feels like this isn't real enough to be worth money. Or you may secretly be envious of people who confidently market their ideas, wondering, how do they make it look so easy? And worst of all, you might intellectualize your insecurities, making them sound reasonable. So you may say, I'm just multi-passionate, or I like having options. I don't want to be boxed in. But really, you're afraid that no one will value you if you show up as you are, still evolving and still figuring it out. Now, to begin to heal and align with your Gemini's second house energy, the first step is to honor the value of your voice. You don't need more degrees, certifications, or data to prove your worth. Your ideas, your perspective, and your ability to connect people to information are powerful assets. You need to learn how to trust the currency of your perspective. Your voice creates impact. Your thoughts create wealth. Start noticing when people light up after you explain something. That's not random. It's your power in motion. Practice speaking, writing, teaching, or sharing, even informally. Your words create wealth when you stop underestimating them. Next is to find focus through flow, not force. Don't fight your Gemini energy by trying to commit to one thing forever. Instead, commit to one thing for right now and anchor your energy into what truly excites you in the moment. Focus creates flow. Let your path be seasonal. Let curiosity be your compass. Give yourself permission to commit to one area of growth or creation at a time, knowing you can evolve later. Abundance doesn't need rigidity. It needs momentum. When you give your ideas a container, they generate results. Next is to create. Don't just consume. Monetize your mental gifts. Healing begins when you flip the pattern. Instead of over-researching, find ways to turn your knowledge, communication skills, and curiosity into offerings. So podcasting, coaching, writing, teaching, consulting, creating digital content. Your mind is fertile ground for abundance when you channel it strategically. When you shift into self-expression over self-doubt, you begin to generate magnetic energy that naturally draws in money, clients, and aligned opportunities. Next is to ground your worth in your mindset, not your metrics. Your worth is not based upon how much you know, how many people praise you, or how many followers or clients you have. Abundance grows when you cultivate a mindset of inner sufficiency. So affirm to yourself daily, my ideas have value because they come from me. And finally, create energetic boundaries for mental overload. Scarcity thrives in chaos, so protect your mind space. Limit information overwhelm, and trust that you already know enough to take action. Action, not endless research, builds real wealth. A great affirmation for you having Gemini as your second house ruler is, my mind is my currency. My words and ideas create abundance. I trust my voice, my gifts, and my power to attract wealth with ease. And just because you have Gemini in your second house, I want to offer you a second affirmation that goes with the theme of Gemini needing additional and multiples of things. So your other affirmation is, my mind is magnetic. My words create impact. My ideas are valuable. And I trust my voice to open doors, attract wealth, and guide me toward aligned success. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if you're really feeling this and want to go even deeper, I've got some powerful offerings waiting for you listed in the description box below, which are all designed to help you fully step into your next chapter. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Abundance isn't just about effort. It's about emotional safety. Your second house reveals the energy you must embody to attract, hold, and expand abundance. It's not just about money. It's about your relationship to self-worth, safety, and the right to receive what you need. When Cancer sits on your second house cusp, your wealth isn't built on constant hustle. It's built on emotional connection, security, and self-trust. Your energy is nurturing, intuitive, and deeply magnetic when you feel safe to be fully yourself. Your real currency is emotional intelligence, sensitivity, compassion, protectiveness, intuitive connection, and the ability to make people feel at home. That's your energetic signature. And when you learn to honor that, money becomes a byproduct of you simply being in your authentic flow. But chances are, you didn't grow up in a world that made you feel like that kind of energy was profitable. Cancer is the divine mother archetype. And when it rules your second house, your relationship to abundance is rooted in how emotionally nourished, protected, and seen you felt in your life. This placement makes you someone who thrives when you feel safe, supported, and emotionally stable. Someone who generates abundance when you can create or contribute to nurturing environments, such as home-based businesses, emotional support roles, healing work, or intuitive services. This makes you someone who values emotional security over material flashiness, and someone who naturally attracts wealth when you're doing work that feels personal, heart-centered, and connected to legacy or family. You don't just want money. You want to feel like your life is rooted in belonging, that you're protected, and that you can build something lasting that feels like home. But if you were raised in an environment where emotional safety was inconsistent, where nurturing was conditional or absent, or where caretaking was demanded of you without ever being poured back into, you may have grown up believing that you have to overgive to receive. That belief is a block. Cancer energy is soft, vulnerable, and emotionally rich, but the second house is about resources, security, and survival. So when Cancer lives here, abundance becomes tangled with how emotionally safe you felt to receive love, care, or support. Some of the common imprints with this placement are: you were emotionally attuned to others' needs, but no one was attuned to yours. You may have learned to nurture others as a way to earn security. You may have felt like your emotions were too much, so you internalized the belief that being sensitive made you weak or unworthy. You may have taken a parental or protector role at a young age, learning that your needs weren't the priority. And money or stability in your family may have been tied to emotional unpredictability, sometimes present, sometimes gone. So now, as an adult, you may feel guilty for charging for your gifts. You may overgive in relationships or business without boundaries. You may fear success will make you emotionally exposed or unsafe. And you may not feel like you're allowed to rest or receive unless you've earned it. In short, you crave security, but you don't fully feel safe with receiving it. So this energy may show up in your life in several ways. So you may feel uncomfortable raising your rates or asking for more, even when you know you deserve it. You may give everything to others, your time, your emotional energy, but often feel depleted or resentful. You may feel safer behind the scenes, hiding your gifts out of fear of being judged or emotionally vulnerable. You may not trust that people will pay for emotional labor, so you give it for free. You may seek financial security, but sabotage it by underpricing, over-delivering, or waiting too long to act on your ideas. Or you may avoid visibility or success because you associate it with exposure or abandonment. You don't just want money for the sake of it. You want to feel emotionally safe, rooted, and seen. And you can have that. But it starts with allowing your energy to work for you, not against you. To begin to heal and align with your Cancer-ruled second house, the first step is to redefine what being provided for means. You are allowed to receive support without proving your pain. You don't need to overfunction, overdeliver, or overgive to be safe. So repeat to yourself, I am allowed to be held. I am allowed to receive simply because I exist. Next is to let emotional safety come first, not last. You won't feel truly abundant until you feel safe. So prioritize nervous system regulation, quiet time, and consistent environments. These are not luxuries. These are your portals to power. Next is to release the guilt around charging for emotional labor. People pay for coaching, therapy, healing, design, support, and space holding. Your intuition and emotional intelligence are wealth-generating assets. Create containers that honor your energy. Charge for your time and your presence without apologizing. Next is to build your business, brand, or lifestyle around what feels like home. Cancer in the second house doesn't need a high-rise office. It needs a cozy corner, a safe routine, a values-driven plan. Create a workflow that feels emotionally sustainable, not just externally impressive. And finally, break the "I have to suffer to receive" cycle. You don't have to be broke to be humble. You don't have to be burned out to be valuable. You don't have to prove your struggle to be deserving of softness, love, or support. Let abundance flow in without trauma as the price of admission. A great affirmation for you having Cancer in your second house is, I am safe to receive. I am worthy of care, security, and support. My softness is sacred, and I build my wealth through emotional wisdom and inner trust. If this resonated with you, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if you're loving this energy and want to go even deeper, I've linked powerful offerings below to guide you into your next chapter. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Abundance flows when you feel seen. Your second house governs your relationship to self-worth, security, abundance, and what you believe you're allowed to receive. It shows how you build wealth, not just materially, but energetically. And when Leo rules this house, your currency is your radiance, boldness, self-expression, and presence. You were never meant to build wealth by blending in. You're here to thrive through being seen, celebrated, and recognized for who you uniquely are. With Leo on your second house cusp, your abundance expands when you own your creative power, let yourself shine unapologetically, lead with confidence, and express your truth without needing permission. But most that have this placement learned early that being seen comes at a cost. And that creates a core wound that dims your power and blocks your abundance. Leo is ruled by the sun, which means your path to abundance is tied to your light, your joy, your creativity, your charisma, your confidence. Now, when aligned, this placement gives you magnetic attraction power. People are drawn to your energy. It gives you the ability to generate wealth through performance, personal branding, creative work, leadership, or entertainment. It gives you an authentic desire to give generously, which makes you naturally abundant. It also gives you the potential to turn your personality into your platform, your story into your asset, and your confidence into income. Your presence itself is valuable. But if you were taught to dim it, or if you only received praise when you performed, excelled, or made others proud, you may have learned to associate being loved with being impressive. And that's the wound that we need to clear. The core fear with this placement is, if I shine too brightly, I'll be rejected, judged, or left alone. Or, if I'm not being admired, I'm not valuable. As a child, you may have felt pressured to succeed, impress, or entertain in order to receive love. You may have been celebrated for how you looked or performed, but not for your inner world. You may have experienced rejection or jealousy when you naturally stood out. You may have dimmed your light to make others comfortable. And you may have learned that being too much came with consequences. So now, as an adult, your energy often says, let me earn your love. Let me prove I'm worth your attention. Let me perform so I feel safe. But that creates a disconnect between self-worth and authenticity. And abundance can't root itself in performance alone. So this can show up in your life in several ways. So you may downplay your success or dim your personality to avoid standing out too much. You may wait for someone else to validate you before raising your prices, applying for an opportunity, or launching your idea. You may feel uncomfortable receiving without performing, so you over-deliver, overdo, or stay on constantly. You may struggle to show up unless you feel ready, perfect, or confident, so you may delay opportunities. You may also equate value with how much attention you're getting. If no one's clapping, you may feel like you're failing. You may also crave admiration, but fear visibility. So you hover in limbo, waiting for someone to discover you rather than claiming your space. This creates a pattern where you burn out trying to be impressive or hide to avoid criticism, neither of which creates sustainable abundance. Now, to begin to heal and align with your Leo-ruled second house, the first step is rebuild your sense of worth without performance. So ask yourself, who am I when no one is clapping? You are still worthy, still powerful, still magnetic. Practice receiving love, rest, and money without performing for it. The less you try to impress, the more you attract from your authenticity. Next is to let your inner child create without pressure. Leo rules happiness, play, and the heart. Your abundance is tied to your ability to create from delight, not duty. Return to what you loved as a kid: dancing, writing, painting, being silly. And let those moments reconnect you to effortless magnetism. Next is to own your gifts out loud. Those with this placement often know they're powerful, but wait for permission to own it. So practice saying, "I'm really good at this. People benefit from my presence." Let your self-worth become your strategy. Next is be seen even when it's uncomfortable. Healing comes from showing up before you feel ready. Start the brand, post the video, launch the offer, speak on the panel. Let the light hit you. Being seen is not a threat. It's your energetic activation. And finally, redefine visibility as generosity. When you shine, you give others permission to do the same. Your presence is not about ego. It's about impact. Let yourself be known, not to impress, but to inspire. A great affirmation for you, having your second house ruled by Leo, is, I am safe to be seen. I don't have to perform to be worthy. My presence is valuable, and I allow my light to attract wealth, joy, and recognition with ease. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this information, and subscribe for more. And if this lit a spark and you're craving more, check out my offerings I've linked below, all crafted to support your journey into your next season. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. You don't attract abundance by being flawless. You attract it by being devoted to your value. With Virgo on the second house cusp, your relationship with self-worth and money is filtered through a lens of usefulness, service, efficiency, and excellence. This is a placement that finds power in being intentional, in refining your gifts and using them to help others in tangible, practical ways. You carry the ability to organize chaos into clarity, turn complex problems into simple solutions, to see what others overlook, and to build systems that support and heal. Your value lives in your discernment, care, attention to detail, and dedication to doing things with purpose and precision. But here's the wound. Somewhere along the way, you likely learned that your worth was tied to how perfect, helpful, or productive you could be for everyone else. And that's where your abundance gets blocked. Virgo energy is about healing, order, precision, and improvement. In the second house, it means your abundance expands when you honor your ability to improve and refine systems, spaces, and experiences. When you find security in consistency, simplicity, and intentional daily habits. When you align your work with service, integrity, and tangible results. And when you create offers or work rooted in being helpful, healing, and high integrity, your wealth builds steadily over time through the small steps, the tiny details, the behind-the-scenes care that others often overlook. You're not here to just go viral. You're here to build something lasting, efficient, and rooted in real value. But if your self-worth has been hijacked by impossible standards, or if you were raised to believe that being good meant self-sacrificing, hardworking, or endlessly productive, you may have learned to measure your value by how little you need and how much you give. This creates an energetic imbalance where receiving feels unsafe or unearned, and wealth becomes tied to burnout, overthinking, or quiet resentment. This placement often comes with an early experience of being praised only when you were productive, polite, or helpful. Being criticized for your mistakes, taught to self-correct constantly. Being given love through acts of service, but not emotional expression. Being expected to be the reliable one, even when it hurt you. And being surrounded by messaging that said, if it's not perfect, it's not worth anything. So you may have internalized this belief that my value comes from how useful I am. If I'm not helping or fixing something, I'm not enough. And as an adult, this turns into overworking to earn security, struggling to celebrate your wins because you only see what still needs fixing, avoiding offers, launches, or creative expression because it's not ready yet, staying in the background, doing the work, but not taking up space or credit, or even feeling guilty for resting, receiving, or enjoying money without doing more. This isn't just about money. It's about how deeply unworthy you feel when you're not actively proving your value. Now, this energy can show up in several ways in your day-to-day life. So you may delay projects or launches endlessly, feeling like nothing is ever ready. You may quietly resent being underpaid, but struggle to raise your prices or ask for more. You may downplay your gifts by calling them no big deal or just something to do. You may work tirelessly behind the scenes, but never let yourself shine or be celebrated. You may fear being judged as lazy or not trying hard enough, so you never stop working. You may feel productive, but still feel like you're falling behind financially or energetically. And you may equate rest with failure and perfection with security. This pattern keeps you in a loop where you are constantly doing, but rarely receiving in proportion to your energy. To begin to heal and realign with your Virgo-ruled second house, the first step is to detach your worth from how much you do. You are not a machine. You don't have to prove your worth with endless output. Your presence, your care, your integrity, those are valuable in and of themselves. You are allowed to be seen, supported, and celebrated for who you are, not just what you produce. Next is to allow your standards to elevate you, not suffocate you. Virgo thrives on refinement, but perfectionism blocks abundance. Let done with love be better than done with pressure. Healing comes when you let your work be good enough to serve, not perfect enough to protect your fear of being judged. Next is to honor your ability to create sacred structure. You are wired to build systems, rituals, and rhythms that generate sustainable wealth. Create structure that supports you, not just your clients or your team. You deserve workflows, pricing, and boundaries that make your life more spacious, not just productive. Next is to stop waiting to be more ready. You already have everything you need to make an impact now. Stop hiding behind edits. Stop obsessing over formatting. Stop using humility as a mask for fear. Let your work speak, even if it's not perfect. That's when the money starts flowing. And finally, reframe service as a two-way flow. You're not just here to pour into others. You're here to receive as well. Service does not mean self-sacrifice. Create exchanges that feel mutual, clean, and generous to you. That's where your real wealth lives. A great affirmation for you having Virgo as your second house ruler is, I am enough, even when I'm not fixing. I trust the value of my care, my gifts, and my presence. My energy creates order, healing, and wealth with ease. If this resonated for you, be sure to let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if you're ready to stop playing small, everything you need to expand, elevate, and evolve is waiting for you below in the description box. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Abundance isn't just about receiving. It's about receiving in harmony. Your second house rules how you experience worth, safety, and abundance. And when Libra rules this house, your relationship with wealth and self-worth is deeply tied to relationships, aesthetics, harmony, and how others reflect your value back to you. Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and attraction. So when it lands in your second house, your currency becomes your presence, your eye for beauty, style, and balance, your ability to create peace, connection, and aesthetic experiences. You naturally attract abundance when you're in environments where there is respect, reciprocity, and elegance. You thrive when you feel seen, supported, and celebrated, not just for what you do, but for who you are when you're being fully yourself. But often, the deeper wound here is this. You were taught to build your value around how well you could keep the peace, look the part, or make others comfortable, even if it meant abandoning your own needs. At its highest expression, this placement creates wealth through relational magnetism. People feel safe, heard, and elevated by you. Also, through your creative gifts in fashion, branding, beauty, partnerships, aesthetics, and design. Also through an ability to make anything more attractive, harmonious, or emotionally digestible. This placement also creates wealth through energetic refinement, grace, and tact that opens doors to aligned opportunities. You're here to make the world more beautiful, and people are drawn to your energy when you express your value authentically and without apology. But if you were raised in environments where love and safety were tied to people-pleasing, image, or perfection, you may have learned that your worth is only real if someone else confirms it. This turns your natural gift for harmony into a compulsive need for external validation. And that's where the scarcity loop begins. With Libra in the second house, there's often an early experience of being rewarded for being agreeable, pretty, polished, or pleasing. Suppressing your own needs to avoid conflict. Learning that your value came from being the good one, easy one, or attractive one. Witnessing instability in your early relationships, so you made yourself emotionally palatable to keep peace. Or even absorbing the message that you're only valuable if someone chooses, validates, or praises you. So you begin to build your identity around being chosen, liked, or accepted. But if your sense of value depends on how others react to you, you'll never feel safe to receive without effort. That leads to constant over-adjusting, undercharging, and trying to be what others want, even if it leaves you feeling unseen. So this energy can show up in your life in several different ways. So you may undercharge or understate your value, afraid people will think you're too much. You may wait for external validation, such as likes, compliments, client feedback, before trusting your own gifts. You may avoid launching, selling, or creating unless it looks perfect. You may feel like your worth is tied to your appearance, brand, or likability. You may say yes to things that drain you just to keep the peace or to avoid judgment. You may feel resentful in relationships or work when the exchange doesn't feel mutual, but you struggle to speak up. Or you may not feel safe being fully authentic unless you're certain it will attract love or success. This creates an energetic imbalance where you're giving what you think is valuable, but you're not rooted in your own definition of worth. Now, to begin to heal and align with your Libra-ruled second house, the first step is to reclaim your worth as your own mirror. Your value is not a reflection of others' opinions. It's a reflection of your own inner knowing. Stop outsourcing your self-worth to how others respond to you. Say to yourself, I choose me, even if no one else claps. Next is to build wealth with balance, not burnout. You're not here to perform for validation. You're here to co-create aligned exchanges. If the partnership, contract, or platform doesn't feel mutually fulfilling, it's not aligned. Abundance flows when you stop negotiating with your standards. Next is to choose authenticity over appearance. You don't need to look the part to be worthy of wealth. Your beauty is in your realness, your resonance, and your emotional integrity. Practice showing up without over-curating. Let your energy speak louder than your perfection. Next is to price your worth at a level that reflects your refinement. You carry Venus energy. Your work, your presence, your process all elevate people. Stop shrinking your offers to be more accessible if it leaves you resentful. You are allowed to be luxury. You are allowed to charge like it. And finally, learn to receive without over-accommodating. You do not need to perform emotional labor to feel safe receiving money or love. So practice saying, thank you. Yes, I'll take that. And I am available for ease. Let yourself receive without negotiating your needs down to fit someone else's comfort. A great affirmation for you, having Libra as your second house ruler, is, my value is not a reflection. It is a knowing. I create wealth through beauty, balance, and mutual respect. I receive with grace because I am worthy without performance. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more. And if you're craving even more of this energy, hit the description box for my next level offerings to help you embody your power. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. The second house reveals your personal definition of value. What do you hold on to? What you fear losing? And how you generate abundance. With Scorpio ruling this house, your path to wealth and security is anything but surface level. This is not about building comfort. It's about building power. Scorpio brings intensity, depth, and transformation to your sense of worth. Your real currency is around emotional and energetic mastery, unshakable focus and resilience, magnetic, mysterious presence, the ability to transmute pain into purpose, and intuition that reads people, power, and energy instantly. But this energy comes with a wound. You don't just fear lack. You fear loss. Total, emotional, irreversible loss. And when that fear runs the show, You either grip too tightly or hide your power completely. You're not here to chase surface success. You're here to build energetic wealth that's private, powerful, and deeply aligned. Your value is felt through your depth of insight and psychological understanding, through your capacity to hold space for transformation and healing, through your ability to see beneath the surface and speak truth to the unspeakable, and through your magnetic presence that draws people in, but only when you let it. You thrive when you allow your work to come from the underworld of your own healing. Your pain becomes your platform. Your survival becomes your story. Your energy becomes your offering. But in order to truly claim this, you have to face what made you fear it in the first place. Scorpio in the second house often comes with an early life where you experienced emotional, financial, or energetic instability, where you were betrayed or abandoned by those you trusted to care for you, where you learned that being vulnerable meant being exploited, where you were forced to be hyper-independent or emotionally guarded, where you may have absorbed the belief, if I let go, I'll lose everything. So you learn to control what you can, which is money, emotions, outcomes, to keep people at arm's length, even when you crave intimacy, to hide your true power out of fear it will be taken or used against you, or to associate money with manipulation, betrayal, or power struggles. In short, you don't fear lack. You fear the powerlessness that comes with loss. And so abundance becomes something you try to control rather than co-create. So this energy can show up in your life in several ways. So you may obsess over money or survival, but secretly don't feel safe with having more. You may find yourself in power dynamics around money, giving too much or trusting too little. You may hide the full depth of your gifts, afraid people will exploit or misunderstand you. You may hold on to money tightly, but still feel like it slips through your fingers. You may equate wealth with secrecy or control, so you either over-explain or shut down completely. And you may also be afraid to be seen in your full power, because visibility equals vulnerability. You are capable of creating deep, lasting wealth, but your nervous system might still be convinced that abundance equals danger. Now, to begin to heal and align with your Scorpio-ruled second house, the first step is to reclaim power from the pain, not by denying it, but by transmuting it. What you've been through is not your shame. It's your sacred material. Start sharing your truth on your own terms, in your own way. Your voice is not weak. It's your weapon of reclamation. Next is to shift from control to clarity. Stop trying to predict every outcome. You don't need to manipulate energy to stay safe. Start creating clarity around what you want to receive and why you don't feel safe receiving it yet. That's where the power is, not in the grip, but in the awareness. Next is to heal your relationship with trust. You don't need to give all your energy away to feel valuable. You also don't need to hoard it in isolation to stay safe. Practice safe energetic exchanges where what you give is met, matched, and respected. That's where money flows naturally. Next is to create wealth through sacred privacy, not hiding. You don't owe the internet your life story, but you do owe yourself the chance to be seen in your truth by people who can pay, honor, and hold it. Build offerings that allow you to stay energetically sovereign while still fully embodied. And finally, stop confusing power with self-protection. True power is soft, quiet, certain. You don't have to armor up to earn money. You just have to believe you're safe enough to hold what wants to come in. A great affirmation for you having your second house ruled by Scorpio is, I release the need to grip, hide, or prove. My energy is powerful. My voice is sacred. And I trust myself to hold wealth with depth, clarity, and truth. If this resonated with you, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if you're ready to stop playing small, everything you need to expand, elevate, and evolve is waiting for you in the description box below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. You weren't born to shrink for security. You were born to expand into abundance. The second house governs your relationship to self-worth, wealth, and energetic value. And with Sagittarius ruling this house, your currency is your belief system, boldness, optimism, and vision. You attract abundance when you trust that you're allowed to want more, not out of greed, but out of alignment with truth. Your power isn't in following the rules. Your abundance flows when you lean into big picture thinking and unshakable faith, your sense of adventure and exploration, storytelling, teaching, and global or spiritual wisdom, as well as when you lean into your ability to inspire, uplift, and help others see beyond limitation. But here's the shadow. You were likely conditioned to believe that your bigness was unsafe, impractical, or unrealistic. So instead of expanding, you learned to run. And instead of anchoring your gifts into real wealth, you scattered them, trying to outrun the fear of not being enough. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, faith, and growth. With this energy influencing your second house, your wealth comes through inspiring others through ideas, education, philosophy, and lived experience. It comes through taking risk, trusting your path, and acting from vision, not fear. It comes through walking across cultures, platforms, and spiritual dimensions, and through leading with wisdom, optimism, and storytelling that elevates others. You are here to show people what's possible, and your life becomes magnetic when you walk that talk. But that magnetism only activates when you stop seeing freedom and abundance as mutually exclusive and start building a reality where your expansion feels safe. Now, with Sagittarius in your second house, you may have been raised in environments where dreams were labeled irresponsible or too big, where you were told to be realistic, tone it down, or follow the rules, where you experienced cultural, financial, or spiritual restriction, where you were praised for staying small, humble, or self-sacrificing, or where security came through control, not trust, so you learned to doubt your own greatness. So what happens? You develop a deep fear of committing to anything long enough to build wealth. You dream big, but act small. You constantly chase new experiences that never feel fully resourced. You start things, but never let them root. You secretly wonder, am I allowed to want this much? To take up this much space? You are. But until you believe that, your abundance will always feel just out of reach. So this energy can show up in your life in several ways. So you may be constantly shifting directions, avoiding structure because it feels like a trap. You may believe money equals limitation, so you subconsciously reject financial responsibility. You may pursue freedom, travel, and learning, but don't trust that you can be paid well to live that lifestyle. You may have big dreams, but little follow through because you fear being wrong, restricted, or stuck. You may avoid charging high prices, believing that spiritual or intuitive gifts shouldn't be monetized. Or you may feel behind, but also paralyzed by the idea of being tied down. The root fear is that commitment equals confinement. But the truth is, commitment to your expansion equals your freedom. Now, to begin to heal and align with your Sagittarius ruled second house, the first step is to ground your freedom into form. Structure isn't your enemy. It's your container for abundance. Let your boldness have roots. Create systems, offers, or routines that honor your values without shrinking your soul. Freedom flows best when you are supported. Next is to trust that your vision has value. You are not too much. You are tuned in to possibility. Your ideas, teachings, and worldview are currency. Stop second-guessing them just because they don't fit a traditional model. Let your truth be your strategy. Next is to rewrite your relationship with money and spirituality. Money is not inherently limiting, greedy, or corrupt. Money equals energy, and when held with integrity, it becomes fuel for your purpose. You don't need to choose between wisdom and wealth. You're here to unify them. Next is to practice commitment as a spiritual act. You don't need to tie yourself to one job, niche, or identity forever. But pick something and pour your fire into it. Let the completion of a vision be your next level of expansion. And finally, let receiving feel just as adventurous as giving. You are generous, big-hearted, and a natural teacher, but don't let generosity become avoidance. Practice recognition, payment, and support without guilt or self-erasure. You're not here to give everything away. You're here to circulate energy with truth and trust. A great affirmation for you having your second house ruled by Sagittarius is, I trust my desires. I am safe to expand. My vision is valuable. My freedom is sacred. And my abundance grows when I commit to my truth. If this resonated with you, be sure to let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if this landed and you're ready for more, I've curated some powerful offerings for you, which you can find them waiting in the description box below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Your value isn't in what you produce. It's in the standard you hold for your life. The second house reveals your relationship with security, self-worth, and how you attract abundance. And when Capricorn rules this house, you are here to create wealth through structure, discipline, integrity, and long-term vision. This placement is not about fast money. It's about building a life that lasts, a legacy that is built on inner authority, not external validation. Your real currency is your work ethic and consistency. It's your ability to self-regulate and self-direct. It's your wisdom, patience, and strategic focus. It's your respect for time, mastery, and high standards. It's the way you ground energy into results. You weren't born to chase success. You're here to define it for yourself and become it over time. But here's the wound. You were likely taught that your worth is conditional on your performance, productivity, or control. So instead of being supported, you may have learned how to survive through self-discipline, and that survival mode became your default wealth mindset. When aligned, this placement allows you to build wealth through leadership, business, systems, or structure. To create a self-sustaining lifestyle based on integrity and inner standards. To become a respected voice in your field through expertise and earned credibility. And to attract abundance by setting boundaries and containers that protect your energy. You're wired for success with substance. You have the capacity to build something meaningful, refined, and long-lasting. But Capricorn energy doesn't come without its trials. This is the sign of earned mastery, which means you've likely carried the pressure to prove yourself since childhood. With Capricorn here, your early environment may have taught you that love or approval came through achievement, responsibility, or control. That there's no room for weakness, only results. That you have to be the one who holds it all together. That rest or softness equates laziness or failure. And that time must always be earned, never enjoyed. So you may have begun to measure your value by your productivity, to tie your sense of security to your accomplishments, to fear being seen as incapable, emotional, or messy, and to believe that if you slow down or receive, the whole system might collapse. This created a core belief. If I'm not pushing, I'm not progressing. And that mindset blocks the very abundance you're working so hard to build. So this energy can show up in your life in several ways. So you may equate stillness or rest with wasting time. You may struggle to celebrate your wins because there's always more to do. You may feel pressure to earn rest, pleasure, or money through overworking. You may delay receiving because it's not ready or not perfect yet. You may set high standards for yourself, but struggle with burnout and resentment. You may undercharge or overdeliver because success must be difficult to count. You might resist help or softness because you fear becoming dependent. It's not that you don't believe you can be successful. It's that deep down, you've been taught that ease is suspicious and hardship is honorable. Now, to begin to heal and realign with your Capricorn-ruled second house, the first step is to redefine success on your terms. You don't need to follow the rules of the system. You were born to build a better one. So ask yourself, what does success feel like in my body? Who benefits from me believing I have to suffer to succeed? Let your version of success be structured, but not punishing. Next is to detach self-worth from productivity. Your worth is not in your output. It's in your presence, wisdom, and integrity. Practice receiving without guilt. Say to yourself, I deserve to be supported even when I'm not striving. Next is to let ease become a new kind of discipline. Capricorn is about mastery, and that includes mastering sustainability. Build systems that support your nervous system. Prioritize longevity over urgency. Your empire isn't built in a day, but it is built from how you treat yourself today. Next is to own your authority and stop waiting to be crowned. You don't need someone else's stamp of approval to charge your worth, to launch your offer, or to lead your space. You are the expert when you decide that you are. Let your structure reflect your self-trust. And finally, make softness a success strategy. You don't have to armor up to be respected. You can lead with boundaries and still be soft. You can set high standards and still rest. Let tenderness into your structure. That's where wealth becomes human. A great affirmation for you having Capricorn ruling your second house is, my worth is not earned through pressure. It is embodied through presence. I trust myself to build sustainable wealth through grounded power, not constant struggle. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if this lit something up inside of you, don't stop here. Be sure to dive into the description box for some of my next level offerings to help you fully own your growth. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. You weren't born to follow the rules of wealth. You were born to redefine them. The second house shows how you create, sustain, and attract abundance, and what makes you feel truly secure. When Aquarius rules this house, your energy is wired to generate wealth through your authenticity, innovation, and individuality. You're not here to do business as usual. Your abundance flows through your ability to challenge outdated systems, build communities around shared values, lead with ideas that are ahead of their time, turn your quirks into cornerstones, and invent or disrupt through tech, trends, and truth. Your value isn't in how well you conform. It's in how boldly you don't. But when that individuality was rejected, misunderstood, or isolated early in life, you may have started believing, I'll never be fully supported if I'm truly myself. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn, so your wealth potential is activated when you build something different that works. Your natural abundance comes from being a thought leader, creative disruptor, or community innovator. Turning your unusual ideas into products, platforms, or movements. Creating freedom-based offers, digital spaces, or unconventional work. It comes from tapping into the future, so trends, tech, energy work, or humanitarian causes, as well as monetizing your message, not just your methods. You attract money when you trust your genius and create in ways that are authentic, scalable, and radically aligned. But to access that frequency, you must clear the internal belief that your authenticity is a liability. Aquarius in the second house often comes with early life messages such as, you're too weird. You think too differently. You're not grounded enough to succeed. That won't work in the real world. Why can't you just follow the rules? So you learn to either suppress your individuality to be more acceptable, to over-intellectualize or emotionally detach as a form of protection, to feel unsupported or out of place in traditional work or school settings, to normalize inconsistency, believing money is unstable or success doesn't last, or to believe that you must go it alone to keep your freedom. All of this wires your nervous system to associate security with self-abandonment or isolation. So your gifts remain locked behind a wall of overthinking, undercharging, or scattered energy. So this type of energy can show up in several ways. So you may undervalue your most unique qualities, thinking they're too niche. You may avoid structure, routines, or financial systems because they feel limiting. You may sabotage consistency, randomly ghosting your own creative flow. You may not fully commit to your offers, ideas, or business, afraid they're too out there to succeed. You may keep your pricing low or your work vague just in case it doesn't land. You may crave community and collaboration, but avoid visibility because it feels vulnerable. You may resist receiving money from the very gifts that make you magnetic. You want freedom, but your system might not feel safe having it. You want abundance, but still fear that being fully yourself means being rejected, misunderstood, or left out. Now, to begin to heal and realign with your Aquarius-ruled second house, the first step is to ground your genius into something tangible. You're full of brilliant ideas, but until you build a container, they can't support you. Create an offer, platform, or system that honors your creativity and gives it a place to land. That's how you create sustainable wealth on your terms. Next is to claim your difference as your strategy. Stop thinking you need to niche down into someone else's blueprint. Your niche is your energy. Your brand is your brain. You're not too weird, you're visionary. Let your weird work for you. Next is to build your own version of structure. You don't need to do 9 to 5, rise and grind, or toxic productivity. But you do need flow that supports freedom. Create systems that serve your rhythm, such as time blocking, automations, or creative cycles. Structure becomes sexy when it protects your brilliance. Next is to let community become your currency. You're not meant to thrive in isolation. Create containers, courses, offers, or spaces where your ideas build connection, not just content. The more you serve community, the more wealth you build without selling your soul. And finally, be seen in your rawness. Don't wait until it's perfect or polished enough. You're not here to perform. You're here to provoke change. Post the idea. Launch the course. Say the thing. Your truth is what makes you profitable. A great affirmation for you having Aquarius ruling your second house is, my difference is my value. I am safe to be seen in my originality. I create freedom, wealth, and impact by trusting my energy and building on my own terms. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if you want to dive even deeper, head to the links listed below in the description box, where everything there is designed to help you step fully into who you're becoming. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. You don't chase abundance. You tune into it. The second house rules your relationship to self-worth, safety, and resources. With Pisces here, your path to abundance is less about force and more about faith. You generate wealth through energetic alignment and flow, through creativity, imagination, and intuitive gifts, through spiritual service, healing work, and compassion, as well as trusting your inner world more than the outer rules. Your currency is energetic, ethereal, sensitive, divine. But the world often teaches us that only what is tangible, logical, or measurable has value. So if you weren't taught how to translate your inner magic into outer stability, you may have grown up believing that your way of being can't support you in the real world. And that's the illusion that we're here to dissolve. When you're aligned, you attract abundance by tapping into your creative gifts, artistic talents, or spiritual calling. By offering your intuition, empathy, and presence as a healing force. By trusting that your energy is your most powerful magnet. By letting go of control and surrendering to divine timing and flow. And by creating income from music, art, poetry, intuition, or emotional support. You don't get ahead through effort alone. You attract through embodiment and resonance. But when your boundaries are blurry and your belief in your gifts is shaky, you can easily feel adrift, overwhelmed, or under-supported. With Pisces in your second house, you may have experienced a childhood full of emotional chaos, absence, or unpredictability. You may have experienced financial instability that made safety feel more like a fantasy than a reality. You may have experienced enmeshment with others' pain, taking on their suffering as your own. You may have experienced caregiving roles where your sensitivity was exploited. And you may also have experienced belief systems that made money seem bad, spiritually impure, or selfish. So you may have begun to believe it's not safe to have too much. I'm not built for this world. Being spiritual means being selfless. Or I'll never be consistent or clear enough to thrive. And instead of claiming your full capacity to receive, You drift into daydreams, doubt, or self-sacrifice. Now, this energy can show up in your life in several ways. So you may struggle with money management, pricing, or charging for intuitive work. You may overgive, undercharge, or feel guilty making money from your spiritual gifts. You may lack clarity around your worth, your offerings, or your business direction. You may feel ungrounded, avoiding financial planning or responsibility. You may trust the universe, but doubt yourself. You may constantly attract draining relationships or clients because your boundaries are thin. And you may also feel like success only comes when you disappear into service. You may dream of ease and overflow, but deep down, you feel like it's reserved for other people, not someone as soft and scattered as you. But the truth is, you were never meant to fit into the system. You were born to feel your way beyond it. Your abundance lives in the surrender. Now, to begin to heal and realign yourself with your Pisces-ruled second house, the first step is to trust that your energy is enough. Your value is in your presence, your ability to hold space, channel messages, and bring beauty into being. You don't need to be logical to be legitimate. Let your energy speak for you. That's what people are investing in anyway. Next is to create clear, energetic, and material boundaries. Sensitivity isn't weakness. It's a superpower with a container. Clarify your pricing. Define your time. Protect your peace. Abundance flows through clarity, not confusion. Next is to let your imagination become your income. Your dreams are not escapism. They are divine data. Your visions, poems, visuals, and intuitive ideas can be monetized when you stop doubting their impact. You're not too dreamy. You're tuned in. Next is to heal your relationship with receiving. You're not meant to give endlessly and disappear. You're meant to be a channel of abundance, not just for others, but for yourself. So practice saying, I receive with ease. I deserve to be supported. And finally, anchor your magic into the material. Spirituality doesn't mean avoiding reality. It means weaving heaven into earth. Create offerings, rituals, or content that bring your divine gifts into physical form. You don't need to choose between spirit and structure. You were born to blend them. A great affirmation for you having your second house ruled by Pisces is, my energy is sacred. I create abundance through trust, creativity, and divine alignment. I am safe to receive, support myself, and let my magic be enough. If this resonated with you, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share this with your friends who can also benefit from this message, and subscribe for more. And if you're craving more of this energy, hit the description box for my next level offerings to help you embody your power. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching.